Last section we have seen about the working principle and the operation of magnetron. This section we will derive about the Hull cutoff equation. So this was a basic magnetron. We had a cross field device in which the electric field and magnetic field was perpendicular to each other. So in the presence of such a cross field, the movement of the electrons will not be straight from the cathode to the anode. Obviously, there will be a bending of electrons. Electrons will be traveling approximately in a curved or in a parabolic manner. So we can represent the motion of the electrons in cylindrical coordinates. And here we can see r is the radial displacement of the electrons and phi is the angular displacement of the electron. So the motion of the electron or the velocity of the electrons could be expressed in terms of the unit vectors ar and a phi. So some extra steps are written here for understanding the path of electron in a better manner. So we have seen that the velocity or the displacement of the electron could be expressed in terms of unit vectors ar and a phi, where r is the radial displacement and phi is the angular displacement. So the displacement Vr, the velocity of Vr could be expressed as dr by dt, and V phi could be expressed as d by dt of r phi, that is also equal to r into d phi by dt. We know that A is the cathode radius and B is the anode radius. So when r, the radial displacement, is equal to the cathode radius of A, obviously d phi by dt, that is the angular displacement d phi by dt, will be equal to 0. And when r is equal to b, where b is the anode radius, the radial displacement dr by dt will be equal to 0. Now to derive the Hull cutoff equation, that is both the Hull cutoff magnetic and the Hull cutoff voltage equation, we have to start from the equation of motion of the electron in cylindrical coordinates. Now since we are studying about a cylindrical magnetron, we will consider the equation of motion of electron in cylindrical coordinates. Now starting from this equation only, we can derive the Hull cutoff equation. So here 1 by r d by dt of r square d phi by dt is equal to E by m b z dr by dt. We know r is the radial displacement of the electron and phi is the angular displacement of the electron, and here E by m is the charge to mass ratio of the electron whose value is given, and here the magnetic flux Bz is assumed to be in the positive Z direction. Now we define a very important parameter in the magnetron, that is the cyclotron angular frequency. Okay, so that is equal to E by m of Bz, where E by m is the charge to mass ratio of the electron and Bz is the magnetic flux. So we can substitute in the next step for E by m Bz as omega c, that is the cyclotron angular frequency. So continuing from the previous equation, that is the equation of motion in cylindrical coordinates. Now to derive the Hull cutoff equation, we will do some modification. That is, instead of E by m Bz in the RHS, we can substitute it as omega c, which is our cyclotron angular frequency. And instead of r dr by dt, we can do a modification. That is, d by dt of r square is 2r dr by dt. So instead of r dr by dt, I can substitute it as half d by dt of r square in the next step. So now instead of E by m Bz, we can substitute as omega c, which is a cyclotron angular frequency, and instead of r dr by dt, we can substitute as half d by dt of r square. Now by integrating the above equation, I get r square d phi by dt is equal to half omega c r square plus a constant. Now from this particular expression, when r is equal to A is the cathode radius. So obviously the angular displacement d phi by dt will be equal to 0. So when we are substituting at this expression, we get the constant to be equal to minus of half omega c A square. That is, in this equation we are substituting for r is equal to a, for r is equal to a, d phi by dt will be equal to 0. So we get the value of constant as minus half omega c of a square. So from this we can simplify the expression of d phi by dt as half omega c into 1 minus a square by r square. So in the upcoming steps we will substitute for d phi by dt by this expression. Now from the previous expression we have seen what is d phi by dt. It was half omega c 1 minus a squared by r square. Instead of r we have considered the radius in the second case to be equal to b, where b is the anode radius. So when b is the anode radius, we know electrons are going to just graze the anode. The radial displacement dr by dt will be equal to 0. When we are considering the potential energy acting on the electron is equal to kinetic energy, half mv square is equal to ev. But we know that here the electron velocity v is going to have both the radial component and angular component, r and phi component as written previously. So we can write v square to be also equal to vr square plus v phi square, which is equal to dr by dt the whole square plus r into d phi by dt the whole square. Now when r is equal to b, we know that the voltage v will be the DC voltage V0 and dr by dt will be equal to 0. So when we are substituting in this case, this term dr by dt the whole square turns to be 0 and this particular term turns out to be b square. Since r is equal to b square d phi by dt the whole square, which is also equal to, from this particular expression, b square is equal to 2 ev naught by n. So b square into d phi by dt the whole square is equal to 2 ev naught by n. Now instead of d phi by dt, we can use this particular expression in the next step, that is half omega c into 1 minus a square by b square. So in the next step we can substitute for d phi by dt to arrive at the Hull cutoff equation. So when r is equal to b, we get the expression as such. When we are also considering the cyclotron angular frequency omega c is equal to Eb by m, we arrive at the Hull cutoff magnetic equation, that is BOC is equal to such a expression. So the cutoff magnetic field BOC is a magnetic field at which the electrons are not going to reach the anode. That is, electrons get emitted from the cathode. It will just graze the surface of the anode, but it will not reach the anode. It will again come back to the cathode. So this is a critical magnetic field. So at this critical magnetic field, the electrons are forced to return back to the cathode, or it causes the backheating of cathode. If the magnetic field applied is greater than this cutoff magnetic field, electrons for sure will not reach the anode. It will return back to the cathode in a faster manner. Okay, so from this expression we can also find out the cutoff voltage. So these two are called as the Hull cutoff equation. That is, first one is the Hull cutoff magnetic equation and the second one is the Hull cutoff voltage equation. That is, if the voltage applied is lesser than this Hull cutoff voltage, the electrons again will not be reaching the anode. The electrons will be forced to return back to the cathode. Now we have already defined about the cyclotron angular frequency for a magnetron. So since we are considering a cross field device where the electric field and magnetic field are perpendicular to each other, and the magnetic field is also normal to the motion of the electrons which is traveling in cycloidal path. If we are considering the outward centrifugal force of a favorable electron, it is equal to that of the pulling force of the electron. Pulling force here indicates the magnetic force acting on such a favorable electron. So we can consider the outward force acting on the electron, that is a centrifugal force, will be equal to the pulling force or the magnetic field which is acting on the electron. So we can write mv squared by r is equal to evb, where v is the tangential velocity of the electron. As we have already seen, we can express it in terms of both the radial and the angular coordinates. and r here represents the radius of the cycloidal path. Now we know the cyclotron angular frequency of the electron could be given as omega c is equal to Eb by m. Now from this expression Eb by m can also be written as V by R. So omega c is equal to V by R, which is equal to Eb by m. Now the period for one complete revolution can be expressed as t is equal to 2 pi by omega. This is the standard relation connecting the time period t and the angular radiant frequency. If we are substituting for cyclotron angular frequency omega as Eb by m, we get the time period to be equal to 2 pi m by Eb. Now, if we want the oscillation to be sustained in our magnetron device, we know that this is a standard condition for oscillation to occur, that is the phase shift should be a multiple of 2 pi radians. Then phi is equal to 2 pi n by capital N, where small n is denoting the integer which is a modes of oscillation. Obviously, it's a resonator which can support an infinite number of modes, and n represents the number of cavities. We know that in a magnetron device we are having not a single cavity but we are having multiple resonant cavities. So capital N here represent the number of cavities. Obviously, the phase shift condition should be satisfied for sustained oscillation. Also, we have one more condition for sustained oscillation. That is, we are having a RF or a microwave field in the interaction space. Interaction space here is a space between the cathode and the anode. So, angular velocity of a microwave field in the interaction space is given by d phi by dt is equal to omega by beta. That is, we know that the velocity v can be expressed as omega by beta, which is also equal to d phi by dt. Now, when will maximum energy transfer takes place is that when the cyclotron frequency of the electron is equal to the angular velocity of the RF wave. So, this omega by beta will be equal to d phi by dt, or omega is equal to b into d phi by dt, which is also equal to Eb divided by m. This is the expression for the cyclotron angular frequency. So only when such a condition is satisfied, we get sustained oscillation in the device. In this section, we will see about the output power and efficiency. The output power and efficiency depends on resonance structure and the DC power supply. We have seen in its construction that the anodes are having many slots. Each of it is going to work as a resonator. So this is the equivalent circuit for a single resonator of a magnetron device. Capacitor and inductor will be the energy storage elements. That is, we have seen that the slots are going to behave like an inductor having one turn, and the space connecting the slot and the interaction space is going to behave like a capacitor. So this is an equivalent circuit for a single resonator, where capital YE indicates the electronic admittance, V is the RF voltage across the vane tips, C is the capacitance at the vane tips, L is the inductance of the resonator, GR is the conductance of the resonator, and G is the load conductance per resonator, per single resonator. The quality factor determines the frequency selectivity of a resonator. So, the expression for unloaded quality factor is given by omega 0 into C by GR. That is, we do not consider the resonator to be loaded. So, we consider only the conductance per resonator. The loaded quality factor is given by omega 0 C by GR plus GL. That is, here the load conductance per resonator is also considered. The external quality factor will be given by omega 0 into C by GL. Now we will see what is the circuit efficiency and electronic efficiency. Circuit efficiency for a magnetron is defined as GL by GL plus GR, or 1 by 1 plus Q external by Q unloaded. The electronic efficiency for a magnetron is defined as generated power to the DC power. So that is the ratio of what power is generated from the device to the input DC power which we apply. So here each term is familiar to us. V0 is the anode voltage, I0 is the anode current, P lost indicates the power which is lost in the anode circuit. So generated power is the RF power which is induced into the anode circuit, and power DC is a V0 I0, that is the power from the DC power supply. So we have to remember these equations, that is the equation for circuit efficiency and electronic efficiency of a magnetron.